Earth is not a death world. Earth is the Sanctuary Part 1. The arrival of the ship was dying. Everyone aboard knew it. Story pressed her small hand against the cold metal wall and felt the vibrations growing weaker. The engines were failing. The life support systems were failing. Everything was failing. Around her, thousands of her people sat in silence. Their large, dark eyes filled with fear. They were too tired to express that the Villani had been running for 3 years. 3 years of jumping from system to system, always one step ahead of the Keth Dominion warships that hunted them. 3 years of watching their numbers shrink. 3 years of burying their dead in the cold emptiness of space. Now their ships had nothing left to give. Elder Moran, the oldest among them, stood at the center of the main chamber. Her silver skin had lost its glow long ago. Her telepathic voice, once strong enough to reach across star systems, now barely touched the minds closest to her. "There is only one option," she said, her thoughts brushing against every Villani consciousness aboard. "The Sol System, the planet called Earth." A wave of terror rippled through the refugees. Sori felt it crash against her mind like cold water. She was young, barely 20 cycles old, but even she knew the stories about Earth. Earth was a death world, a planet of monsters and madness. The gravity was crushing. The atmosphere was poison. The native species killed each other constantly, fighting over territory, resources, mates. The dominant species, humans, were said to be the worst of all. They had survived ice ages, plagues, wars, and disasters that would have ended any sensible civilization. They were persistent predators who chased their prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. They bonded with dangerous animals for companionship. They consumed poison for pleasure and called it spicy food and alcohol. No sane species went to Earth. "We have no choice," Elder Moran continued. "Our engines will fail completely within 6 hours. Earth is the only inhabited planet within range. We must send a distress signal and pray they respond." The signal went out, and then the Villani waited, huddled together in the failing warmth of their dying ship, expecting either silence or violence. The response came in 43 minutes. Captain Yuna stood on the bridge of the Earth vessel Horizon and studied the readings on her screen. Beside her, Lieutenant Taiho was practically vibrating with excitement. 12 ships, he said, all showing critical damage. Life signs, thousands, maybe tens of thousands. "Captain, this is first contact." Actual first contact. Yuna remained calm. She was always calm. It was why they had given her this command. "Open a channel," she said. "All frequencies. Translate our message into every mathematical pattern we have." She paused, organizing her thoughts. This moment would be remembered forever. She needed to get it right. "Attention, unidentified vessels. This is Captain Yuna of the Earthship Horizon. We have received your distress signal. Help is coming. Repeat, help is coming. Please do not be afraid. We mean you no harm. Medical teams are standing by. Food and water are being prepared. You are safe now." On the Villani ship, Sori heard the translation in her mind as the ship's computers processed the alien language. She did not understand. She reached out with her empathic abilities, trying to sense the emotions behind the words. What she felt made her gasp. There was no deception. No hunger. No predatory anticipation. The being who had spoken, this Captain Yuna, radiated genuine concern, genuine compassion, a sincere desire to help. "Elder," Sori whispered. "They mean it. They actually want to help us." Elder Moran's eyes widened. "That cannot be. They are Deathworlders. Their entire existence is built on violence and competition. I am telling you what I feel. There is no trick. The human ships arrived within hours. They were not warships, Story realized with shock. They were rescue vessels, medical transports, cargo carriers filled with supplies. Humans in protective suits boarded the Volani ships with gentle hands and soft voices. They carried the sick on stretchers. They gave water to the thirsty and food to the hungry. They asked permission before touching anyone. Story watched a human male kneel before a Volani child who had lost her parents in a Keth attack. The child was crying, her telepathic distress echoing painfully through the ship. The human could not hear her thoughts, but somehow he seemed to understand. He sat down on the floor, making himself small and unthreatening. He pulled a small stuffed animal from his pocket, a gift meant for his own daughter, and held it out to the child. The child took it. Her crying stopped. She looked at the human with her large, dark eyes, and for the first time in months, Story felt hope emanating from a Volani mind. The journey to Earth took 2 days. During that time, Story learned that the humans had mobilized their entire First Contact division within minutes of receiving the distress signal. They had prepared food suitable for Volani digestion based on the biological data transmitted with the distress call. They had adjusted the temperature and lighting on the rescue ships to match Volani preferences. They had even found telepaths among their own population, rare, weak compared to Volani. But present to help communicate. Lieutenant Taiho spent hours asking Story questions about her people, her culture, her history. He was not interrogating her. He was genuinely curious. He wanted to understand. Why do you keep asking? Story finally asked him. Taiho smiled. Because you are amazing. Your people can speak with thoughts. You traveled between stars while my ancestors were still figuring out fire. And you survived 3 years of being hunted. That takes strength I cannot imagine. You think we are strong? We are refugees. We have nothing. You have each other. You have your stories, your memories, your children. That is not nothing. That is everything. When the ships finally entered Earth's atmosphere, Story pressed her face against the viewing window. The planet below was blue and green and white, swirling with clouds. It was beautiful. More beautiful than any world she had ever seen. But that was not what made her fall to her knees. It was the feeling. The moment she crossed into Earth's embrace, something washed over her. Peace, safety, welcome. The feeling of coming home after a long, terrible journey. She had never been to Earth before. She had never seen this planet, never breathed its air, never touched its soil. And yet, somehow impossibly, it felt like home. This planet, she whispered, tears streaming down her face. It feels like the home we lost 10,000 years ago. Elder Moran stood beside her, equally stunned, equally overwhelmed. What is this place? The elder asked. What is Earth, truly? Story did not know. But as the ship descended toward the green mountains of a land the humans called Korea, she knew one thing for certain. Everything she had been told about Earth was wrong. Earth is not a death world. Earth is the Sanctuary Part 2, the old story 6. Months had passed since the Volani arrived on Earth. The refugee camp in the Korean mountains had grown into a small city. Humans had built homes designed for Volani bodies, with lower ceilings and softer lighting. They had planted gardens filled with foods that matched Volani dietary needs. They had created schools where Volani children learned alongside human children, each species teaching the other their language, their games, their songs. Elder Moran spent most of her time in the Great Library of Seoul. The humans had given her access to every book, every database, every piece of knowledge they possessed. In return, she shared the history of her people. It was a fair trade, and Moran had come to respect these strange, violent, impossibly kind creatures. But something was bothering her. Something in the old Volani texts she had managed to save from her homeworld. The sanctuary world, she murmured, reading the ancient words for the 100th time. A planet seeded by the first ones, a world of extreme weather and dangerous creatures. A world where all life learns to survive together. A world that heals the broken and shelters the lost. The texts were over 10,000 years old. They had been dismissed as mythology for generations. But now, sitting on Earth, feeling the strange peace that flowed through every breath, Miran was not so sure. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, Ambassador Jisoo stood before the Galactic Council. The chamber was massive, filled with representatives from hundreds of species. Some breathed oxygen, some breathed methane, some did not breathe at all. They watched Jisoo with expressions ranging from curiosity to contempt. The Keth, Dominion representative, stood at the center of the floor. It was a tall creature, covered in black scales, with 4 arms and eyes that burned with cold fury. The Villani belong to us, it said. They are property of the Dominion. Earth has no right to shelter them. Return them immediately, or face consequences. Jisoo smiled. It was not a friendly smile. The Villani are not property, she said. They are living beings. They came to us seeking help. We gave it. That is not a crime. Your planet is nothing. A small world on the edge of nowhere. You have no fleet. No allies. No power. You dare to defy the Dominion? Yes. The chamber went silent. No one defied the Keth. No one. Earth does not recognize your claim over the Villani, Jisoo continued. Earth does not recognize your authority to hunt and enslave peaceful species. And Earth will not surrender a single refugee to your care. The Keth representative's eyes narrowed. You will regret this. Perhaps. But I will not regret doing what is right. She turned to address the entire council. Her voice was clear and strong. You call our world a death world. You say we are violent and dangerous. You are right. We are. Our planet has tested us with ice and fire, with plague and famine, with predators that hunted us in the night. Every generation of humanity has faced death, and every generation has survived. She paused, letting her words sink in. But you misunderstand what this means. We did not survive alone. We survived together, with each other, with the animals we bonded with the plants we learned to grow. Everything that lives on Earth learned the same lesson. Survival is not about being the strongest. It is about standing together. She pointed at the Keth representative. You think our violence makes us like you. You are wrong. We fight to protect, not to conquer. We kill to defend, not to dominate. The Villani came to us broken and afraid, and we welcome them. Not because we are weak, because we are strong enough to choose kindness. She took a breath. Earth will not abandon its guests. If the Dominion wants war, they will have it. And they will learn what every predator on our planet learned long ago. Humans do not give up. Humans do not surrender. And humans protect their own. The council erupted in chaos. Some species applauded. Others screamed in protest. The Keth representative stormed out, promising destruction. Jisoo walked away with her head held high. On Earth, General Do-hyun received the news with a heavy heart. He had spent 30 years in the military. He had hoped to never see another war. But he had known this was coming. He stood on a hill overlooking the refugee camp, watching Villani children play with human children in the gardens below. A young girl named Bora was teaching them a clapping game. The alien children kept getting it wrong, and everyone was laughing. We cannot let them be taken, he said to Captain Yuna, who stood beside him. No, she agreed. We cannot. The Keth will send a war fleet. We have never fought a space battle before. Not really. Not against a force like this. Then we will learn. Dawn turned to look at her. You are not afraid? Yuna watched the children playing. I am terrified. But I am more afraid of becoming the kind of species that abandons those who need us. That night, Elder Moran called a meeting with Doyeon, Yuna, and Ambassador Jisoo, who had returned from the council chambers. She spread the ancient Vellani texts on the table. I have been studying your planet, she said, and I have been studying these old stories. I believe they are connected. She pointed to a passage. The first ones, the species that existed before all others, created the sanctuary world as a gift. A place where life would always find a way. A place that would heal the wounded and shelter the lost. The texts say the first ones seeded this world with their own essence, making it aware, making it caring. Dohyun frowned. You are saying Earth is alive? Not in the way you or I are alive. But yes, something about this planet is different. Something protects those who come here in peace. Jisoo leaned forward. Even if this is true, how does it help us? The Keth fleet will arrive in 3 months. They have 500 warships. We have 12. Moran looked out the window at the night sky. I do not know, she admitted. But I believe Earth chose you for a reason. Your people survived everything this planet could throw at you. You became strong. You became kind. Perhaps that is what the first ones intended. Perhaps humanity was meant to be the sanctuary's guardians. Yuna thought about this for a long moment. Guardians or not, she finally said, we will fight for those children playing in the gardens. We will fight for everyone who came to us seeking safety. That is who we are. That is what humans do. Dohyun nodded slowly. Then we had better start building some ships. Outside, the stars shone down on the sleeping camp. And deep beneath the surface, in places no human instrument could detect, something ancient stirred. Something that had been waiting a very long time. The sanctuary was waking up. Earth is not a death world. Earth is the sanctuary part 3. The gathering word, spread across the galaxy faster than any ship could travel. Earth accepts refugees. Earth protects the weak. Earth does not surrender its guests. They came in broken ships and stolen shuttles. They came alone and in groups. They came from every corner of the known galaxy, carrying nothing but hope and desperation. The Morath arrived first after the Vellani. They were beings made of living crystal, silicon-based life forms that sparkled in the sunlight. A terrible plague had swept through their homeworld, and the healthy ones had been cast out by their own people, feared as carriers. They had wandered for decades, rejected by every world they approached. When they landed on Earth, they expected to be turned away again. Instead, Dr. Yunji welcomed them with open arms. She was a geneticist, small and quiet, with glasses that always seemed to be sliding down her nose. She had spent her entire career studying alien biology, preparing for a moment like this. She ran tests on the Morath within hours of their arrival. You are not carriers, she told them. The plague cannot survive outside your homeworld's specific atmosphere. You have been healthy this entire time. You were cast out for nothing. The Morath leader, a being of deep blue crystal named Vorm, wept. His tears were liquid light falling to the earth and soaking into the soil. Where they landed, small flowers bloomed within days. The Ithari came next. They were bird-like creatures with feathers of gold and silver, peaceful to their core. Their species had never developed weapons because they had never needed them. This made them perfect targets for the Keth Dominion's hunting parties. Wealthy Keth nobles paid fortunes for the chance to chase Ithari through forests, shooting them down for sport. The survivors had fled across half the galaxy. When they landed on Earth, they were met by Commander Hyok, a grizzled military veteran with scars on his face and kindness in his eyes. No one will hunt you here, he promised them. Anyone who tries will answer to me. The Ithari did not fully believe him until they saw the mountains of Korea, covered in forests older than their civilization. They saw birds that looked almost like them, flying free and unafraid. They saw humans walking among them, feeding them, protecting them. One young Cathari asked HFY why humans cared about birds. "Because they are beautiful," he said simply. "Because they sing. Because the world would be emptier without them." The young Athari spread her golden wings and wept. More species arrived. The Gren, amphibious beings fleeing a dying ocean world. The Tokai, small furry creatures whose planet had been strip-mined by corporations. The Yeshi, energy beings who had been hunted for fuel. Each group brought their own tragedy, their own pain, their own desperate hope. And Earth welcomed them all. Dr. Yunji worked day and night, studying the refugees, adapting Earth's resources to meet their needs. She made a discovery that shocked her to her core. The soil, she said at a meeting with the other leaders. The water, even the air. They contain trace elements that accelerate cellular repair in almost every species we had tested. Wounds heal faster here. Diseases weaken. Even psychological trauma seems to fade more quickly. Daohin frowned. How is that possible? I do not know. It should not be possible. These elements should not exist in these combinations naturally. It is as if someone designed this planet to be a healing place. Elder Moran nodded slowly. The sanctuary world. In the refugee camp, which had now grown into a true city, a young human girl named Bora had become something of a legend. She was only 10 years old, the daughter of camp administrators. She had no special skills, no telepathy, no scientific knowledge. What she had was a heart so open that every refugee child was drawn to her. She taught Volani children to play hide and seek. She helped Morith children understand that they were not monsters. She carried Ithari chicks on her shoulders and sang songs to them. She learned words in 12 different languages, mixing them together into a pidgin that only the children could understand. One evening, Sori found Bora sitting on a hilltop, surrounded by children of 5 different species. They were watching the sunset together, the sky painted in colors of orange and pink and gold. How do you do it? Sori asked, sitting beside her. Do what? Make them feel safe. My people are empaths. We can feel emotions. These children have been through terrible things. They carry so much pain. But when they are with you, the pain, it becomes quieter. Bora thought about this for a moment. I just love them, she said. That is all. I just love them, and I let them know they are not alone. Sori looked at the human child with new eyes. In that moment, she understood something important about humanity. They were not strong because of their muscles or their weapons or their persistence. They were strong because they could love without limit. Commander Hayok walked the perimeter of the growing city every night. He had seen war. He had seen what the Keth could do. He knew the fleet was coming. One night, Captain Yuna found him standing on the highest hill, looking up at the stars. You are worried, she said. I am terrified. We have built defenses. We have trained pilots. But the Keth have centuries of experience in space warfare. We have almost none. Yuna stood beside him, looking at the same stars. I have been having strange dreams, she admitted. Dreams of something vast and old, sleeping beneath the ground. Dreams of a voice telling me not to be afraid. Hayok looked at her. Do you believe the stories? That Earth is some kind of living sanctuary? Yuna was silent for a long moment. I have been a soldier for 20 years. I have seen a lot of worlds. Cold worlds. Dead worlds. Worlds that made you feel small and unwelcome. She paused. None of them felt like this one. None of them made me feel like I belonged. She turned to face him. I do not know if the stories are true, but I know what I feel. This planet wants us to live. All of us. Humans and Volani and Morath and Ithari and everyone else. It wants us to survive. Hayok was quiet for a while. Then he nodded. Then let us make sure we do not disappoint it. 3 weeks later, the long-range sensors detected the Keth fleet entering the solar system. 500 warships, armed with weapons that could crack planets open. They came for the refugees. They came for Earth. And Earth was waiting for them. Earth is not a Deathworld. Earth is the Sanctuary Part 4. The Battle of Sol. Admiral Junho stood on the bridge of the Earth flagship Unity, watching 500 Keth warships arrange themselves in attack formation. His fleet numbered 63 ships. Some were military vessels hastily converted for space combat. Others were cargo ships with weapons strapped to their hulls. A few were alien vessels whose refugee crews had volunteered to fight alongside humanity. It was not enough. Everyone knew it was not enough. Admiral, his communications officer, said, "The Keth commander is demanding our surrender. He says if we hand over the refugees now, they will spare Earth." Junho did not even consider it. "Tell him we decline." "Sir, he is threatening to destroy every city on the planet." "I heard him." My answer is the same. He opened a channel to the entire fleet. Human pilots, Volani telepaths serving as communication officers, Morath engineers keeping the engines running, Ithari navigators whose eyes could track 100 ships at once. They were all listening. "This is Admiral Junho. In a few minutes we will engage the enemy. They outnumber us. They outgun us. By every logical measure, we should not be able to win." He paused, thinking of Bara teaching alien children to laugh, thinking of Dr. Yunji working through the night to save Morath lives, thinking of Captain Yuna standing firm against the darkness. But we are not fighting for logic. We are fighting for the children in the camps below. We are fighting for the refugees who came to us with nothing but hope. We are fighting for the idea that kindness is not weakness, that compassion is not foolishness, that a species can choose to protect instead of destroy. He stood straighter. The Keth think we are primitive. They think we are easy prey. They are wrong. We are humans. We walked out of Africa and covered the world. We survived ice ages with stone tools. We cured diseases that killed millions. We went to the moon with computers weaker than your communication devices. We never give up. We never stop fighting. And we never ever abandon our own. He took a breath. Today, the galaxy learns what that means. All ships, engage. The battle began badly. The Keth had centuries of experience. Their weapons were more powerful, their ships faster, their tactics refined through countless conquests. In the first hour, Earth lost 12 ships. Then 15 more. The Keth lost 3. Pilot Nari flew her small fighter through a storm of weapons fire, her heart pounding in her chest. She was 22 years old, daughter of colonists who had fled to the moon 2 generations ago. She had wanted to be a teacher. Instead, she was here, fighting for her species' survival. Her wingman died in a flash of light. Then another. She was alone now, her ship damaged, alarms screaming at her from every direction. "I am sorry," she whispered, not sure who she was talking to. "I tried. I really tried." And then she felt it. It started as a warmth in her chest, spreading outward. A voice, ancient and vast and infinitely kind, speaking directly into her mind. "Do not be afraid, little one. You are not alone. You were never alone." Across the fleet, every human felt it. Every Volani. Every Morath and Ithari and Gren. Something was reaching out to them, touching their minds, filling them with strength they did not know they had. On Earth's surface, strange things began to happen. Whales breached across every ocean, singing songs that had not been heard in millennia. Wolves howled in forests around the world. Birds rose in massive flocks, circling the sky in patterns that seemed almost like words. Elephants trumpeted. Lions roared. Even insects joined the chorus, creating a sound that covered the entire planet. The humans in the refugee city stopped what they were doing and listened. The aliens stopped too. Everyone felt it. The planet was speaking in space. The sun flickered. Astronomers on Earth watched in disbelief as solar flares erupted from the sun's surface, directed with impossible precision. The flares crossed millions of kilometers in moments, striking the Keth fleet like the wrath of an angry god. 30 Keth ships were destroyed in seconds. Then 50 more. Then 100. The Keth commander screamed orders, trying to reorganize his fleet, but something was happening to their electronics. Every Keth ship was experiencing system failures, as if an invisible force was reaching inside them and pulling things apart. "This is impossible," the commander roared. "What is happening? What is this?" In her damaged fighter, Nari heard the ancient voice again. "You are my children. All of you. The humans who grew in my embrace. The refugees who came seeking shelter. You are all my children, and I will not let you fall." She understood then. The stories were true. Earth was alive. Earth was aware. And Earth was protecting them. With renewed strength, Nari pushed her fighter back into battle. Across the fleet, damaged ships rallied. Wounded pilots returned to their posts. The tide was turning. Admiral Junho watched in awe as Keth ships began to retreat. The impossible was happening. They were winning. "All ships," he said, his voice steady despite the tears on his face. "Press the attack. Drive them from our home." The Battle of Seoul lasted 6 more hours. When it was over, the Keth fleet was broken. 300 ships destroyed. 100 more captured. The survivors fled into the darkness, carrying tales of a blue planet that fought with the fury of a god. On Earth's surface, the chorus of animals slowly faded. The solar flares ceased. The planet settled back into its gentle sleep. Its children safe once more. Admiral Junho stood at the viewport of his damaged flagship. Looking down at Earth, the planet glowed blue and green, peaceful and beautiful, giving no sign of the power it had just displayed. "We did not win that battle," he said quietly. "She did." The planet, Captain Yuna, stood beside him, equally awed. "She protected us, just like a mother protects her children. What do we do now? How do we explain this to the galaxy?" Yuna thought about it for a long moment. "We tell them the truth. Earth is not a death world. Earth is a sanctuary, and everyone who comes in peace is welcome." Junho nodded slowly. "The galaxy will never be the same." "No," Yuna agreed. "It will be better." Below them, in the refugee city, Bora held hands with children of 12 different species, watching the sky. They had felt it too. The love, the protection, the promise that they would never be abandoned. "The planet saved us," a young Villani boy said. Bora smiled. "She is our home now. All of ours. And she loves us." The children looked up at the sky, where the last sparks of the battle were fading, and they believed her. Earth is not a death world. Earth is the Sanctuary Part 5. The Sanctuary revealed 1 year had passed since the Battle of Seoul. The galaxy had changed. The Keth Dominion had collapsed, its fleet destroyed, its subject species rising in rebellion. Without their military power, the Keth were revealed to be cowards, bullies who had only survived by preying on the weak. Now the weak were no longer weak, and the Keth were learning what it felt like to be hunted. But it was Earth that had changed the most. Pilgrims came from across the stars. Not to conquer, not to exploit, but to see the sanctuary world for themselves. They came in ships of every size and shape, speaking languages no human had ever heard. carrying wounds no human could imagine. And Earth welcomed them all. President Hajun stood at the podium of the newly built Unity Hall, looking out at an audience that would have been impossible just 2 years ago. Humans sat beside Villani. Morath crystals sparkled next to Thari feathers. Gren, Tokai, Yeshi, and a dozen other species filled the great chamber, all of them watching, waiting. My friends, Hajun began, we stand at the beginning of a new age. Not a human age. Not an age of any single species. An age of unity. An age of sanctuary. He paused, looking at the faces before him. For centuries, the galaxy believed certain things about Earth. They said we were primitive. They said we were violent. They said we were dangerous. And perhaps some of that was true. We have been violent. We have fought wars among ourselves. We have made terrible mistakes. He shook his head slowly. But that is not all we are. We are also the species that crossed oceans to find new lands and then helped the strangers we found there. We are the species that built hospitals to heal the sick and schools to teach the young. We are the species that looked at the stars and dreamed of meeting whoever might be out there. He gestured to the audience. Now we have met you, and we have learned that you are like us. You have your own wars, your own mistakes, your own darkness. But you also have your own light. And when you came to us in need, we chose to share what we have. Not because we expected anything in return, because it was the right thing to do. In the audience, Elder Miran rose. The ancient Villani historian had spent the past year completing her research, putting together the pieces of a puzzle that had waited 10,000 years to be solved. President Hajun speaks truth, she said, a telepathic voice touching every mind in the chamber. But there is a deeper truth he does not know, a truth I have discovered in the ancient texts of my people and the geological records of this world. She walked to the front of the chamber, where a holographic display waited. The first ones existed before any of our civilizations. They were so old that even their ruins have turned to dust. But they left something behind. They created worlds designed for specific purposes. War worlds, where soldiers were bred. Factory worlds, where resources were gathered. And one world, just one, created for a different purpose. The display activated, showing images of Earth through the ages. Dinosaurs walking through ancient forests. Ice covering the continents. Early humans taking their first steps across the savannah. The sanctuary world, a planet designed to nurture life, to encourage evolution, to create beings capable of compassion and cooperation, as well as strength and survival. The first ones seeded this world with their own essence, making it aware, making it caring. And then they waited. She turned to face the audience. They waited for the right species to emerge. A species tough enough to survive the sanctuary's trials, but gentle enough to share its gifts. A species that would become the guardians of all who needed shelter. She pointed at the humans in the audience. They waited for humanity. The chamber was silent. Hajun stared at the elder, struggling to comprehend what she was saying. You are telling me that humanity was designed? That we were created for this purpose? Not designed, exactly. Guided, perhaps. The sanctuary shaped your evolution, pushed you towards certain traits. Your persistence, your adaptability, your capacity for empathy, your strange ability to bond with other species, to make them part of your families. These are not accidents. These are gifts the sanctuary gave you. Dr. Yunji stood up. This would explain what I have found in my research. The healing properties of Earth's soil and water. The way our biosphere adapts to support alien life. The planet is not just alive. It is designed to be alive. Designed to be a home for everyone. Moran nodded. The first ones knew that one day, the galaxy would need a sanctuary. A place where the broken could heal. a place where the hunted could hide, a place where different species could learn to live together. They created Earth for that purpose, and they created humanity to protect it. The silence stretched on. Then, slowly, a young Ithari stood. Her name was Piri, and she had come to Earth as a chick, orphaned by the Keth hunts. She had grown up in the refugee camps, surrounded by human kindness. "I believe it," she said, her voice clear and strong. "I have lived on Earth for 1 year. I have seen humans do things that make no sense by the logic of survival. They share their food with strangers. They risk their lives for people they have never met. They love without asking for love in return." She spread her golden wings. The first ones were wise. They did not create soldiers to guard the sanctuary. They created a family that keeps growing, that keeps welcoming new members. A family that will never abandon those who need it. One by one, other refugees stood. Moreth and Villani, Gren and Tokai, beings of every shape and origin. They spoke of the kindness they had received, the healing they had experienced, the home they had found. President Ha-Jun listened to them all. And when the last speaker had finished, he made a decision. "Then let us make it official," he said. "From this day forward, Earth declares itself a sanctuary world. Any species that comes in peace will be welcome here. Any being that seeks shelter will find it. This is not just our home. It is everyone's home." He raised his hand. "But let us also be clear. The sanctuary protects its children. Those who come with violence, those who seek to harm the innocent, will find that this family knows how to fight. The first ones gave us strength as well as compassion. We will use both." The audience erupted in cheers. Later that day, Sori stood on a Korean mountainside, looking out at a valley filled with children. 20 species played together in the grass, their laughter rising into the clear blue sky. She was a teacher now. She taught the children about the stars they had come from and the world that had taken them in. She taught them that they were all family, no matter how different they looked. A small hand slipped into hers. She looked down to see Bora, now 11 years old, smiling up at her. "What are you thinking about?" Bora asked. I watched the children play. Villani chased Ithari through the grass. Marth children sparkled in the sunlight. Human children laughed with all of them. "I am thinking about how wrong we were," she said. "The galaxy called this place a Deathworld. They said humans were monsters. They were so wrong." Bora squeezed her hand. "What is Earth really?" Sori smiled, feeling the ancient presence of the planet beneath her feet, feeling its love surrounding her like a warm embrace. "Earth is home," she said. "Earth is where things come to live." The sun set over the mountains, painting the sky in colors of gold and rose. Somewhere deep beneath the surface, the sanctuary stirred contentedly, pleased with the family it had created. The galaxy had found its home, and the sanctuary would protect it forever.